What's going on YouTube? Marcus Crockett back with another video. In this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts, opinions, and my real world experience on having employees versus having contractors, subcontractors. And at the end of the video, I'm actually going to tell you which one I think is better. So let's start off with the pros of having employees, right? So first and foremost, like, you are everyone's boss. Now, how you depending on where you are in your company, you may or may not want to be everyone's boss, right? But having employees, you definitely are the boss. You make the rules, you sign the checks, you come up with the policies, the procedures, like everything is weighted on your shoulders. You're carrying everything, right? You build the schedules. That could be a good thing, right? Before, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but when you work with contractors, subcontractors, you really can't tell them like, hey, you got to be here at 11 o'clock to get this done. Like, no, you kind of got to give them a window on when things can get done. Like, it has to be done after this, but before this time, right? With employees, you're actually building the schedule. Like, hey, I need you at this place at 11:30, right? And they got to be there or else they're late, because you get to build the schedule, right? You are responsible for the training. Training is huge, right? So here's why training is so important. Obviously, you want your staff to know what they're doing, and you want them to be efficient at what they're doing. But beside efficiency is consistency. You in your training, you want to make sure that everything flows consistent, and here's why. So let's say, for example, one of your staff, they go out of town on vacation for a week. When you put when you put their replacement in there, right? When you build that slot, you put their replacement in. You want to make sure, one, that replacement actually knows how to clean, and two, that the level of cleaning is consistent with what the client has already experienced with the employee who's out of town on vacation. And the only way to do that is to have a solid training system, right? And having the training is something that I definitely dive into in the upcoming course is coming. But that's one of the things that I'm definitely going to dive into, to make sure that your level of consistency remains the same. So that way a customer, the greatest compliment you can get when you're actually slotting a new staff into a building for a night or 2 nights or a week or whatever, but the greatest compliment that you can get is absolutely nothing. If a customer calls you and asks, hey, everything looked good last night, but I was just wondering, was there someone new? Did you guys hire someone else? Okay, everything was good, but that's telling you that things aren't consistent. So it's up to you to put a microscope on whatever the inconsistencies are, get in there as the boss, as the owner, and fine tune things so that we can be consistent across the board. Like, consistency is huge, right? Now, pairing of teams. I always like for my staff to work in teams. I don't really care how small the building is, how big the building is. One, I want them in teams for efficiency. One person takes care of this, the other person takes care of that. I want them to work in teams not only for efficiency and consistency, but I also want them to work in teams for safety. You could promote from within your company. That is one of that was one of the things that I really enjoy doing. I like to look at I like to discover new talent within the company and reward them for it by giving them a higher position, higher pay, giving them more responsibilities. As the boss with employees, that's completely, totally up to you on how you choose to do that. Now, on the flip side of the promotion, you can fire, you can demote, however it is that you choose to do it. So if one person isn't meeting the standard that you have set for your company, it's up to you to go ahead and make the necessary changes. And that can mean demoting, or that can mean termination from your company total, but it's completely up to you. You have all of the control within your company under the dynamic of a boss-employee relationship, right? The other thing is, you can build out your organizational chart a lot easier, right? And I'll get into that a little bit later. But the cons of having an employee. Now, that means you are supplying everything. You supply the mops, the towels, the gloves, everything that's needed to get the job done. You as the boss, you are supplying those things, right? And it can become expensive if your staff aren't efficient with what it is that they're doing, how they're using stuff. Like it definitely can become it can become costly replacing all of that stuff. So you're also responsible for washing all of the mops, all of the towels. And I'm going to be honest with you. Like in the beginning, it may not be so bad, but as your company starts to grow and you're doing multiple six figures a year, it can definitely start it can become another job. As a matter of fact, before I made some changes, it definitely was another job. I had to hire someone in to make sure they washed everything and delivered everything, because this is, when as you're growing, you're doing multiple accounts a night. You definitely want to make sure that everyone has clean rags and clean mop heads that they're going out. And depending on where your company, depending on where your accounts are, you could be driving around, multiple different places doing, just dropping off mops, picking up, dropping off mops, and let alone from washing them. So that's definitely going to be one of the responsibilities, is washing the towels and mops. And I think that's one of the things that's not really spoken about too much. Is kind of like an underrated topic. But as you start to get in your business and you're growing your business, you'll definitely see like this, the laundry portion, it is a pretty big task, you know what I mean? And you may have to hire out for that. You're responsible for all of the L&I when it comes to employee. You're responsible for paying that, your workers' comp stuff. You're responsible for your payroll taxes, and your payroll taxes definitely does mean federal and state taxes that you are responsible to pay, right? This all comes out of their paycheck, but they're charging you for it. So this is a part of the responsibility of being a boss and having employees under you. You're responsible to keep your staff in uniform. This one is up to you, right? But I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna be transparent with you, and as upfront as possible. So I want you to imagine yourself, in your bed, 1:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning, you get a phone call. The phone call is one of your staff on the phone, almost in tears, frantic, right? Because they went in, they didn't follow procedure or protocol on how to do certain things within your company, but they go inside of a building. They can't figure out how to disarm the alarm. The police show up. And the police show up, and all they see is people walking around in a building with flashlights, and the police are responding as if this is a burglary. I'm telling you something that actually happened. So once they figure out, like, okay, these people don't look like they're robbing the place, but who are they? They don't look like cleaners, because cleaners wear uniforms. Oh, okay, I'll let them call their boss. So they call me, right? All that phone call could be completely alleviated by wearing uniforms. And I wasn't the only person that got that phone call. I got that call. My point of contact got that call. They're getting charged for the alarm. All of this stuff, and the reason why I'm able to talk about this freely is because when things like that happen, now we have to implement more systems within the company to keep that from happening, right? These are other things. These things, how to keep that stuff from happening. That's gonna be in the course as well. I'm gonna release that later on. But I'm just right now, that the purpose of this video is just to show you, right? Like, what are some of the pros and cons of having employees versus having subcontractors, right? Depending on your state, depending on the state that you're in, you may have to pay for travel mileage, right? Or you may have to pay for their travel time. Say, for example, you have a building in this city, and your staff goes to clean, and then there's another building in this city, and then they have to go clean that, right? So the time it took from once they finish this account to this account, that time you have to pay for that mileage, even though they're not cleaning, right? So depending on the state. So I know personally in my state, that's one of the things that I have to pay for. I have to pay for the mileage, right? Because I'm just giving you the information so that when you get out here and you get these accounts and when you get your business up and rolling, you kind of know what to expect. So that's definitely one of the things that you definitely want to look out for. So let's move on to organizational charts, right? So the organizational charts, like everyone is seeing one of these. This is you at the top. This is you. You're the owner with the smiley face, right? Because you're handling business the way you should be handling it. And then over here, you have your manager, right? Or this is your field manager. Your field manager is the supervisor of all of your workers, right? So any problems that your workers have, those problems aren't coming up to you, right? There's the direct communication is not coming up to you. It goes through the manager, then to you. And then on this side, this is your marketing managers and then your marketing managers and the people that that they have. So their problems come to you. They come to you, but through the managers. Now, I'm fully aware. Like once you start your company, like you may start as you may be all three of these. You may be this. You may be the owner, the manager, and the worker. You may be that. And then eventually you'll get yourself a worker. And then you'll move up from being out of the worker slot to being a manager slash owner. And then you'll hire a manager. And then so it just depends. Like everyone's thing looks different. But my point of showing you this is I want you to start putting yourself in the mind frame of how your company will look in the future. Even if you don't have a company, even if you don't have a registered business name, you can get paper and draw out what you want your company to look like once you're 2-3 years into the game. Like, how do you want your company to look? How do you want it to flow? How do you want how do you want the growth? That's the whole purpose of organizational charts. I had organizational charts way before I had any staff to put there, right? So it's just a matter of how you want things to look, how you want things to grow. And we got to the point where my chart looks completely different from this now. But this is just something, this is a rough draft, something that you can build off of. So you could take this chart and then start to figure out exactly how you want your company to look. Your pros of having contractors, right? So here's the thing. This is one of the things that was really attractive to me when I really started to think about changing the structure of my company. You're dealing with entrepreneurs, right? When you're dealing with contractors, subcontractors, you're dealing with other entrepreneurs who are like-minded, right? They think more along the lines. You guys are gonna think more like than you and an employee. So you're dealing with entrepreneurs. Contractors are required to pay for their staff, all the stuff that it needs to take care of their staff, insurance included. They're required to take care of that. Now, let me go back just a little bit, right? So right here, let's say you're the owner here, right? And I know this is the owner, but let's just say, well, we'll just go here. All right. So you're the owner and you have your insurance policy, and your insurance policy covers these four people. Well, let's say you get a fifth and then a sixth person. You may have to now upgrade your insurance policy because more people are covered under your insurance, right? Just because you have insurance doesn't mean it's adequate insurance based on the number of staff you have. That's something that you have to take up with your insurance company, and you have to ask about, like, hey, how many staff does this insurance cover? And then they'll be able to tell you. So when you're dealing with contractors or subcontractors, they're required to pay for their own insurance. It's up to them to have those conversations with their insurance company, not you. We work on a net 30. Like 99% of all of my accounts are on a net 30 basis. So we get paid once a month from each account. And I pay my contractors the same way. Like you guys get paid on the first of every month. I don't care what happens, who paid us, who didn't. Like if we have a set agreement, you guys are getting paid on the first of the month. And if we didn't get paid from some of the other accounts, then I have systems in place for us to go ahead and collect our money on that end. We pay our subcontractors once a month, right? The other thing is, you don't have to train their employees. It's up to the subcontractors to make sure that their staff are trained well enough to go in and do the job and do it well, right? You don't have to supply any of this cleaning supplies. So no solutions, no mop heads, no towels, none of the stuff that it takes to actually do the job is your responsibility to supply. That's all up to the subcontractor. You don't have to pay for any payroll taxes. You don't have to pay for any uniforms. It's up for the contractor to make sure, hey, your staff is fully uniformed. So basically, like all of the pros of of having a subcontractor is the exact opposite of the cons of having of an employee, right? So the cons of having a subcontractor, I know I said it's a pro that you can't train their staff, but it's also a con that you can't train their staff. Just recently, I had a situation where I went into one of my accounts. I got a complaint from a customer. I had to go inside of the account and I'm looking things over and I'm like, man, you know what? You're right. Like this stuff isn't right. But I'll tell you what, we'll get it fixed, right? So as soon as I get done with that, I get on the phone with the contractor and we're talking and I'm telling her like, hey, look at these pictures that I'm sending you. This is your staff and this is what they're doing. Like, we got to get this fixed and it needs to get fixed immediately. Now, I can't go in and train her staff on how to do stuff. I can't send my operations manager in there to go train them. We can't do that because that's not our relationship. My relationship is with the subcontractor. Now I can offer the subcontractor advice, but I can't train them, right? We can't do that. And then I have to rely on the contractors to do the job without micromanaging them, right? So just like on the organizational chart I showed you before, where there was the manager position and then the 3 workers that were underneath, when those workers get to work, their job is to notify the manager, right? And so that way there are no call, no shows. In this situation, I can't rely. You guys can't. They can't call me. Hey, we're at work now, and when they're hey, we're finishing up. Like I have to rely on their word that they're going to actually go in and follow the contract that we agreed to. These are some of the cons that you got to worry about. And this has actually happened. This has happened to me on a couple of different occasions where I'll get an email or a phone call, 5 o'clock in the morning, like, hey, what happened? Your staff didn't show up and we got surgery this morning. So I'm juggling things, trying to figure out how we're going to move forward. How I'm going to keep the account. And then, these are just things that you can't control that come as cons when you're dealing with a contractor. The organizational chart of the contractor is set up a little bit different. So again, this is you at the top, right? You're the owner, and this is the subcontractor. And the subcontractor, they set their organizational charts up however they want, but I just simplified it just so it's easily digestible and you're able to understand real quick. So there's me, and I do business only with the subcontractors. Now the subcontractors, they have their staff or they have their system of how they flow up, right? So their workers should be reporting to them or their operations manager, right? And we're in communication with each other if there's ever a problem. We never skip the chain. There's never a chain that we don't skip this. I never go from here to talking to any of their workers. I don't check and make sure that their workers have supplies. I don't check and make sure if their workers are trained. Like I have zero relationship with any of these. I don't even know half of them. I don't know them. I've never seen them before. And that's the way that it's supposed to be. My relationship is with the subcontractors, not the employees. So, there's pros and there's cons to having both of those, right? So, I mean, it really just boils down to how you want to run your company, how you see your company growing in the future. What route do you really want to take? Now, when it comes down to which one I think is better, I think that really neither one is better. I think that it comes down to where you are in your company and where you want it to go, right? Like there are instances when having employees is better, but there's also instances when having subcontractors is better. I'm in a situation now where we're leaning more towards contractors, but I still have a couple of employees that I have that I'm responsible to pay all of the stuff that I'm responsible to pay. I'm responsible to make sure that they have all their supplies and so on and so forth, right? But I don't necessarily think one is better. I think it depends on you, your company style, your management style, where you want your company to be. But I really just wanted to lay out the information for you to get a visual and see exactly what these things look like and how you would choose to go in your company, just based on the information that I've given you. So at least now when you start your company or if you grow your company, you're not doing it blind. You have something to go off of, right? But guys, if you got any value from the video, I want you to go ahead and like the video, share the video, and comment on the video. Let me know what you didn't like. and then we'll just keep it moving from there. But I do have another meeting, man, so I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. But you know what I mean? Like I say, guys, like I'm always dropping jewels. You just got to make sure you're in position to pick them up, and the only way to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, my name is Marcus Crockett. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.